say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Give you a chance to look at the minutes and agenda.
I did. I'll make a motion. Minutes and agenda is presented.
Second. Motion from Derby, second from Stenzer, to approve the minutes and agenda. All in favor say aye. Aye. 9 a.m. Jan Libby to discuss annual report for Healthy Harvest.
Thank you for making time on your agenda. I've got a couple of pieces for you, and then I'll sort of walk through them. One, and another, and another. Right. Beginning of the day, probably a lot of other paperwork. That. This. You also want a copy?
Yes, please.
This is here. And our newsletter, and then a copy of our guide. Great. All right, so to start off with, thank you again for your support. That continued support that you have provided for Healthy Harvest has served as some of the foundational base that we build on, and we can leverage that when we're walking and talking to other sponsors, when we're writing grants. Our overall budget for this year has been a little over $100,000, and your contribution was around $3,000. So you can see that you are one of many contributions to the support that we've gotten. In Winnebago County, we also had a $1,000 grant from the Hansen Foundation. So we looked at the immediate community and we leveraged that with additional support. We have continued our focus on producer support, on community support, and then pulling partners together across North Iowa to leverage some of that coordination, because there's a lot of other partners in addition to Healthy Harvest that are required to do our work. So bringing those folks together on a quarterly basis helps to move the conversation and the work forward. So in Winnebago County, in the guide, and you'll remember the guide that you've seen the last couple of years has just been a trifold. We've expanded to other businesses that might really want to have and it also generates income to support this piece of our work, so that's been a nice expansion. We've added that. This continues to be a listing of producers and buyers and farmers markets on our website. And our website will be getting a facelift in the next month or two. We've done a lot with producer profiles and photos over the last couple of years and have make the information easier to access. So I think it should be more user-friendly on that basis. So we're looking forward to that. In the guide, we've featured one of the producers from Winnebago County, 2 farmers markets, and one of the grocers. So the farmers markets listings are provided just as a service to them, and the buyers, like the grocery store, and the producers pay a fee to be listed in here. So we get some income generated from the listings and then also from the ads that come in there. That continues to be a great platform. Then when we're doing outreach around some of our other activities, those folks get some benefits from that, and there's some of our opportunities. We've also had a big effort and push on farmers markets. Winnebago County began some conversation the farmers market here in Fort, about growing some more community support for the farmers market and working with the local producers. The chamber has really taken the lead on that, and Norma Hertzer at Grove Forest City has done quite a bit with that. But they've also brought in some other community board and brought that farmers market to Main Street here. And I just ran into Kathy on the way here, and Roz Hemberger has been kind of the unofficial, that is the chair of our board, and has been helpful in bringing that platform here, which has increased, brought in some new folks to sell in this area and has also increased traffic. So that's been a positive step. They are meeting tomorrow with a representative from Hometown, Healthy Hometown, which is sort of a spin-off of the Blue Zone work that's been taking place in Mason City and Algona and so forth. And one of the things they'll look at is a little bit more continued development with that farmers market and the location, and they're looking at some other issues too. But that effort with the farmers market just opens the opportunity for more support. Part of our work is, this past summer has been regular meetings of about 5 different farmers markets who were really doing a lot of sharing together about best practices to help strengthen the farmers markets. And we held a workshop, I think in March. We had a grant that provided support for a farmers market food demonstration pilot at Mason City and Clear Lake. But in addition to that, we were able to put together some toolkits that each of these participating farmers markets received. So in Forest City, they received this toolkit that was full of utensils and cutting boards and aprons and recipes. With that, Norma wrote a grant to NIAC, like an entrepreneurial grant, and brought some resources in to do some food demonstrations later in the summer. So that little bit of support that we've been able to give to them has helped, and again, sort of expanded itself with some of her own initiative to build upon that. So building those pieces, opportunities to continue to engage folks around local food, marketing opportunities, purchasing opportunities. We've been involved in developing the first early stages of this food hub called North Iowa Fresh that has now been in partnership with One Vision in Clear Lake, and there's about 10 or 13 producers bringing product together, selling to grocery stores and restaurants. So Bill's Family Foods here in Forest City has been one of the grocery stores that has been buying from them and expanding their featuring of local foods. Another one of our initiatives was, after a lot of work over years of really sort of putting a lot of emphasis on horticulture crops, fruits and vegetables, marketing of meat products is a challenge. Farmers market sales are not high enough to justify the time that it takes. Grocery stores are hard to get a foot in. So we brought producers together to start to talk about some of the strategies and barriers and opportunities for marketing local meat. That conversation got some producers talking together. They just worked together to submit a grant to the SARE program, it's Sustainable Ag Research and Education, that will be the beginning of them looking at putting some kind of a meat growers co-op. So they'll be looking at doing some business planning and feasibility study at that. And that's sort of on their own initiative, but our work bringing them together, sort of our continued focus on education and sort of relationship brokering opens these opportunities and continues to contribute to the economic development opportunities. That's sort of a snapshot of what's happening in your community. The letter that I present you sort of outlines that this is expanding across North Iowa as well. We're seeing just growing partnerships. The partnerships between the farmers markets just demonstrates the benefit of folks talking across communities and sharing those best practices. We are going to be hosting a local food celebration. There's a little save the date slip that I provided to you. That's on February 24th. That will be bringing the community across North Iowa together to really showcase what's going on and continue to celebrate the momentum that is there. We will be, we have started a new local food community focus. It's called the Local Food Connection. This is a business-to-business relationship focused on producers, but then bringing in businesses as well that will generate some particular workshops for them, but also just building connections and opportunities through sort of a new approach to our producer support. And I mentioned the website. Our kids cooking class that we had last year was piloting food demonstrations. We were awarded a Wellmark community grant that will expand that work with some new infrastructure within our own system, and then a focus on folks who are dealing with pre-diabetic health concerns and really saying healthy foods is a real good strategy to help with those kinds of health concerns. So pairing the food demonstrations with that kind of audience targets where community hospitals have identified community needs a little bit more specifically than some of our broader piece. So over the years, we've been building this platform of support for producers and consumers and across the region. We're beginning to look at crafting a program around developing a local food community, sort of like the Main Street program, where Main Streets get technical assistance and they get some recognition. There isn't anything quite like that around local food. So we're starting to put some pieces in place to provide technical assistance to communities. So we've had, our staff that is scattered in a couple of different locations across North Iowa, providing sort of in and out assistance, working with local partners. But I'm looking at writing a 3-year grant that would provide support for more boots on the ground, local support, local community and local food coordination. So this is one of the components of this local food community program. Another would be continuing to do some raising of funds for an innovation fund, that if you've got communities that are starting to invest more in local food, developing some planning, then they need some financial support to move that agenda forward. And then the last thread of that program is some recognition and developing some of the criteria around an annual award for a local food community and a local food producer who's sort of demonstrated that they've sort of stepped up in their investment in local food production or local food development in their community. All of that piece is to say the years of support you've provided us have sort of built the capacity and some of the main components of our program, and looking forward, we want to put them together toward the building blocks of this local food community program. And a USDA grant that we will be developing over the winter, due next summer, is that first thread of providing more support in the local communities. And when I'm asking you to consider continued support for Healthy Harvest, that is money that we can use as match for this grant. So I'm asking you to think about the work that we have accomplished and how a commitment can contribute to building upon that base. It is a 3-year grant. So what I'm asking you to think about in this year's request is that potentially be a 3-year commitment. It would be annually renewable. And I'm not asking a change in the level, I'm asking the same amount that you have provided to us in the past, but understanding that would then allow us to get deeper into this technical support and be able to see perhaps a little more direct impact in your communities. Does that make sense?
It's a little difficult to make a 3-year commitment when we have elections every couple of years.
Yes, I understand that. And some of the other counties, because we've got about 6 counties that provide us support, and I'm asking each of them the same. And I'm asking some city councils, and we will be reaching out to other partners and communities. This is a fairly sizable grant. So the piece, again, the supervisor support provides sort of a foundational base, and then we build upon that with other partners. So this is just beginning to have those conversations and get that commitment into consideration. And I understand completely that it's a little volatile to say, at least, yes, let's think about support for the fiscal year 19, but then there would be some conversation to say, we would look at having that be something that we would continue in light of this grant for the next couple of years as well. So that's part of your discussion. That would be something I would come back. As this grant gets developed, we would probably be talking about a letter of support. So I would come back when we have a little more specifics in place and then get that in place. Okay?
Who's the primary beneficiary of our participation?
I think it's not just one entity. I think when you talk about local food system work, it's complex, and you're talking about folks and partners all around the food system, which goes from producers to processors to distribution to, all the way around to recycling of products. So obviously we're talking about producers. And you have one producer that's listed in our guide. You have more producers who are participating in your local farmers market. We've provided some support that's provided some development around that. So other producers, even if they're not listed in the guide, get a benefit from the heightened awareness of local food and the heightened profile of local food and the increased understanding of the value of it. Consumers are benefiting from the fact that they're having increased opportunities for local food access in your farmer's market, in your grocery store, from the conversations and the resources that we're putting together, engaging the farmers market partners themselves. That's been a big benefit this year from the work that we have done in bringing those farmers markets together. Economic development has their hands full with sort of traditional economic development. We bring in a specialty that is not being provided through any other opportunities. And educators, we've begun some farm-to-school planning discussion with some other school communities. That may not be impacting this community right now, but starting it in that part of North Iowa gives us some traction on that conversation and gives us a chance to build on that. So I'd say that there's a wide range of partners that are impacted by this work.
So explain how this would benefit the majority of Winnebago County residents.
I think when we look at community health and vitality, right, which is sort of a basis of community and economic development, we look at ways to increase the quality of life, and we look at ways to increase social engagement with each other. Farmers markets is obviously the most tangible. Bringing people together, working toward that common goal of increasing that is the basis of the activity that you can see here in Winnebago County. Creating opportunities for education and outreach, resources that we provide, the profile opportunities on our website. Mary Walk is the producer from this county who has been involved and participates in some of the opportunities that we have. Increasing that profile begins to raise that as a benefit that economic development can point to when they're talking to employers and saying, we are interested in increasing employment and retaining employment to come to our community. And you can see that we think regionally about the capacity that we're growing. You know, not every small community has a basis of a local food in their local grocery store, so we're getting some capacity building in that direction. And just having access to some of the grocery restaurants that have opened up in this last year offering farm to fork menus is another element that I think the younger population is looking for. National research shows that those kinds of values the younger population really looks for. So it's in this community as well as across North Iowa, contributing to the culture in the area.
Is this a co-op?
We are a legal nonprofit, have our own 501(c) status.
But would you consider it a co-op? I mean,
I would
the functioning of the group.
I would not consider us a co-op. We are an educational organization, and our work in terms of education, bringing the farmers markets together is an educational capacity. Bringing partners together around some other market development for the producers, doing some workshops with them. The North Iowa Local Food Connection program that I talked about is also, it's sort of education and relationship brokering, which is sort of a specialty within economic development.
Would this be analogous to the farm program for farmers, would you say?
I think it's more than that, because we are trying to build relationships with the whole community, because, as I said, food system work is the lens that we look at this through, and that's looking at how you build diverse partnerships, because it takes collective action to make systems change. Systems change is pretty complex. Most of the fruits and vegetables that are being sold in our grocery stores are coming from outside of the state. And so we are letting dollars go outside the state when we have majority of products coming in from California or Texas or Florida or even beyond the U.S. borders. So the more that we can get locally grown horticultural crops in, then we capture those dollars. We're supporting those producers. So you're benefiting you're benefiting the grocery store, you're benefiting the producers, you're benefiting all of the partners around them, health and education partners as well.
From a producer's standpoint, would you say it's fair that this will probably benefit the larger producer more than the truck that shows up on Main Street?
No. In fact, I'd say, again, we've got a variety of producers. A lot of these folks are very small scale, probably under 2 acres, which is pretty small. And then we have some producers who are at the 50 acres. So, there's a range. And the intent is that we have a big tent. And there isn't an expectation that you have to produce using certain practices. There isn't anything about, you can use this, you can't use that. That's not for us. Our goal is to support the producers and generate the conversations and build the relationships.
Last question. Mm-hmm. Will the market then for the producers, for a 2-acre producer as compared to the 50-acre producer, are these stores, the retail stores, are they going to want to be involved with a 2-acre producer that can't necessarily supply them?
Well, that's the benefit of this North Iowa Fresh group. All right, so Bills might be interested in working with local producers, but they're not going to have the time to go chase down 10 or 13 producers, right? When they buy from North Iowa Fresh, they buy from one broker who has a system to coordinate what products are available and then coordinate that out to the producers. They bring their products into One Vision in Clear Lake, and that's where the product is aggregated and distributed. So that's the work that we have done, is to lay the groundwork for that kind of infrastructure that makes it possible for even a small producer to contribute. But it's also needed to have some larger. So we've got folks that are involved in North Iowa Fresh that are all sizes.
And the prices paid by North Iowa is the same for every producer?
You mean the wholesale prices that the producers are getting?
Yes.
Through North Iowa Fresh?
Yeah.
Are set by the producers themselves. Okay. So that North Iowa Fresh is its own LLC. But Healthy Harvest had a hand in getting them started and plays a role in sort of brokering some of the relationships around that development.
Is that an individual broker or is it run by a board?
Well, there's a board. There is an executive committee of the producers, and there is an individual producer. There is an individual broker, and she is not a producer, that works for them. Okay? All right. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay. Number 3, discussion with possible action regarding ISAC opioid lawsuit.
Did you see any information? You guys seen?
I've read
from ISAC, you guys saw that? I'm not aware of any other counties that are doing it. They presented at the County Attorneys Association down in Des Moines in the beginning of November. I think a lot of county attorneys rolled their eyes. But we gave them 10 minutes to kind of put on their spiel. Yeah, I mean, maybe for bigger counties, maybe that's something that it's worthwhile for them. I'm not sure we would have much to gain from it. I'm not aware of more than maybe a couple cases that we've had dealing with this issue. Not to say that it's not out there, but I don't think we could really quantify much for purposes of damages. I think they want every county, because the more counties they have, the more power they have, and the stronger they look. And that's kind of the letter that was presented from ISAC was, if we have a strong united front, we'll have a bigger impact. Well, that's probably true, but I'm not sure we would have anything to gain. I just don't think we have any value to put on what damages we would have as a result of opioid abuse. But so, and that's the impression I got from a lot of county attorneys, big and small. So.
And usually these lawsuits benefit whoever's suing more as far as the legal teams or whatever, even though they are only taking 25% over their normal 40%.
Yeah. I mean, they're gaining support. There's a lot of counties and states. I mean, they're, you know, I think some might have more at stake. I don't feel like we have a lot of that here that we can, you know, identify, quantify, and then say this is what, you know, damages are as a result of this. We've got a few. I mean, we got from time to time we've got some, but you know, to say that that's costing the county this much because they're in our jail or that would be a very, very difficult thing to do, and we're talking a very small amount, if any. So I mean.
So what you're saying is you couldn't quantify.
I don't think so. I don't know how we would be able to. I mean, you know, if it was in, you know, Polk County and you've got 100 and some people in jail and however many of those have been charged with this, that'd be a little easier, right? For us, you know, we don't have that much here. So not to say that it's not out there and it doesn't exist. It's just I don't think we would have much to gain from it. And
seem like it to me either.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm not aware of. At the County Attorneys Association, I don't think there was any counties that had signed up yet. Maybe a few have since then. I think Carla put a feeler out to some of her auditors, and I don't think any of them have.
The school that we had too, and nobody that I talked to is going to do it.
The guys from ISAC talked about it at the district supervisors meeting. Yeah, they were pretty gung ho, but it just I didn't see too much enthusiasm in the room. So.
So the County Attorneys Association director had to beg us to give him 10 minutes, and we all kind of rolled our eyes and said, let him come in. So, but,
Okay, well, I guess we can
so yeah, I just
leave that go until
I think so.
I hear some other great reason for it, I guess.
That'd be my thought.
All right, we'll move on to number 5.
If you want to do 4 quick, you can. I know Kevin's sitting here. I don't know how long that's going to take, but I mean, I think Kevin wants to.
Right, you're the deadline, and it's.
Well, I told the judge maybe 9:30, 9:45. So he'll come and get me he'll come and get me if I need to be up.
All right. Consider for approval change order number 2 for courthouse tuck pointing and stone replacement project.
There's a copy for Jenny. This is the bill, or not the bill, this is the change order we received from Rick, the architect, and from Dave Randall, the contractor, for the courthouse tuck pointing and stone replacement project for the work that was done this summer.
So most of the cost of this change order came in the reflection of increased tuck pointing footage.
Correct. They were doing north of 60%, and at that point Rick said you might as well do it all.
That's what when you bid it 1 year and 3 years later you're working on it and you see more damage, it's kind of hard to stick to a bid.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely right.
Stick to the bid, you're just going to get 60% of it instead of 100%.
Well, they bid a specific amount of tuck pointing. I can't tell you what that is without looking back at the original contract. I don't have that number off the top of my head.
And you would have to get really close and analyze every stitch of tuck pointing in the whole building to do at the time.
And there's a question that sometimes it's easier just to go and do the whole thing as opposed to try and do 18 inches, cut out both ends and do the middle and so on and so on. Time-wise, we may not have saved. Who knows? I won't even venture into that.
sometimes your funds don't allow that to happen. And when we approved the 271,000, we just got done passing a bond for 314,000. 314,000. So
The 54,000 in this change order is included in the 314,000 we just approved.
say that again, the 54,000.
54,000 from this change order is included in the bill that we received for the 314,000.
So did Dave ask for approval before he did that? Before he went over?
We had a meeting with Terry and Kevin and Rick and myself, and we discussed the project. I think it was.
The reason we didn't do a change order, we asked Rick for a change order at the time, what he said, what they do on most projects is do one big one at the end, which is where this came from. We had a lot of 300,000 in my budget for it, so we're only over that by 13,000. Well, whatever the difference is there. So that's why the change order is coming now, and it didn't come in the middle of the summer. Trying to foresee if we ran into any other issues.
Well, that kind of leaves the other two of us out of the loop. And I just find that interesting.
Yeah, it's, I did hear the information after the meeting or whatever. It's if we would have been there, I don't know if it would have made much difference on the decision you'd have to make as far as.
Well, when you don't have the money, you know, it wasn't, from my understanding, what you just said, this could have been put off down the road.
The whole project can be put off down the road.
And that's
what happened. That's unfortunately where we're at now.
And that's the
Put it off.
Now, what I want to get back to, Mike, is in my budget was $300,000. I'm only $13,000. I may not even be over my budget for the year. Okay, we don't know that yet. I can't say because with the new building out there, utilities and so on, I'm hoping, okay, 100% of my budget. I'm hoping here. Hopefully, I've only spent 95. That's what the goal is. That's always what the goal is. Project this size going over 13,000, I don't personally, as a taxpayer, I don't think that's too bad. And I try to watch the county's money as close as I can.
Well,
but what I was told was that we want this fixed up to this level that it'll last. I realize we're short of money now. At the time we were making those decisions, I had no idea.
And that falls on us. I agree. I'll say for myself, shame on me. That does fall on us. But we went way over the 271, is what I'm saying.
I'm not sure what you're talking 271.
We approved back in 15 the change order for this 271. I went back and listened.
First change order?
Yeah. I went back and listened to the tape of it.
Okay, yep.
Okay. And so we've gone way over that. And what I'm saying is, I wasn't aware of that. So, shame on me, I guess, but if it was done behind closed doors, then that, you know.
Nothing's been done behind closed doors.
Well, I didn't know about the meeting you, Carla.
You can come and ask anytime. You came past the construction just like everybody else. And how am
I supposed to know when you're having a meeting?
Unless you just see me and call and say, how's it going? Now, I'm still not sure what the hang up with the 270 was. I'm not sure what you're saying there.
I'm saying the increase in that overrun was done without Bill and I's knowledge.
The 271 was a change order that we approved because of the problems with the foundation
right.
blocks. That was one change order. This was a separate issue for this year's construction. And the reason I came, because they thought I had some construction knowledge. Carla, by code, is in charge of the building.
No, she's not. She's in charge. We are in charge of the building. We appoint her to take care of the day-to-day activities. I think you need to reread that code. We are in charge of the courthouse.
I believe that we all got an email on that meeting ahead of time. And I figured that me being there, the same decision probably would have been made, so I did not drive all the way from up the center. Maybe I should have. But I do believe there was an email sent out.
And I guess my point here is that, yeah, I probably would have said so too, but it would be nice to be informed. It would be nice to be informed. Maybe we could have put this off to the next budget year, or the following budget year. So,
In hindsight, that would be true.
that's all I got.
And to do it, have them do some of it now and then skip feet and then have 5-6 years down the road what they skipped have to be fixed, in the long term would cost us more to fix it than it would be to fix it all now. Would be my opinion of it anyway.
You're paying the scaffolding, renting and all that as
Yeah.
well.
Taking it up and down twice.
Correct.
I mean, it's unfortunately the ball and a lot of things has been kicked up to this point, and the ball that can't be kicked anymore.
No, I agree. So,
Yeah.
I guess I'll make a motion to approve the change order number 2 for courthouse tuck pointing and stone replacement project.
I'll second that.
Motion from Derby, second from Spencer, to approve the tuck pointing change order number 2 for the courthouse tuck pointing and stone replacement project. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Well, you had to go with that.
I need them. Was also. Please.
Let's see, right here.
Yeah,
2 cents.
I actually need 3 cents, but I have one here, so. Thank you.
And in the future, I guess for decisions like that, maybe we've got to make sure that all three of us.
I'm pretty sure that I sent all 3 of you an email, and I can look back and double check on that.
And I'm scolding myself, I should have come, and we should be ready, but I guess, as far as, which the email should be good enough. All right. We want to go with,
Okay, with the 9:30.
9:30. Yeah, there we go. 9:30 a.m. discussion and possible action regarding RFP for health insurance. Kyle Mertz, True North will be available for questions.
So I gave you guys each a packet of stuff. And I also emailed this out a couple of times.
Yeah.
Just want to know what you guys want in the RFP so that I can start getting this together and get it sent out to the brokers. Or to get it put in the paper, I guess, is really what needs to be done.
These are just
These are examples.
3 examples of
Yep.
which one we think we want.
Yep, and then if you have questions, This Kyle Mertz is the one that we used the last time we went out for bids. He helped us to go through the bids and figure out which one was the best. So he said he would be willing to help me again this time. And he's available for questions.
I'd just like to table this till next week. Let's go through this.
Yeah, what was it? Seemed like the third one was the simplest or easy to read, it seemed like.
Going to the school? The Southeast School?
Southeast School.
Carla, this is just language inviting companies to propose a plan for us.
It's basically a bid for a broker. It would be what the broker's fees are, what the broker will do for us, what the broker, I don't know, whatever else. And then the broker, once we decide on a broker, will bring us bids from health insurance companies.
So, for instance, who is a broker now?
Our broker right now is 2 brokers.
But what is True North? Is that?
True North is a company, they actually are a broker also, but they've aided me in the past in helping go through some of this health insurance stuff because I obviously am not an expert.
I think the last time we used it because we wanted to go apples for apples comparison.
And they were able to help me do that.
Well, then we just as well table this one to next week then, is that fine? Or is it getting to be?
I mean, I guess it depends on how quick you want to get it out there because, you know, it's time's running out.
What is it, it's by March we have to.
I guess
Give
another
two
week
brokers.
won't hurt anything.
It gives
I
more
think-
companies more time, so,
Yeah.
you know, if we
Like, you haven't read
finalize
through
it
this yet?
next week.
No,
Yeah, and then if you just look at it.
Okay. Well, we can table it.
Okay. Is he gonna be able to come back or
Kyle?
no?
I don't know.
Probably not. Do we wanna go ahead with 5 without him or discuss what we can or?
Did he give you a
Sheet.
sheet?
Go by.
I have one
Okay. Well, as far as going into closed
Procedure.
session,
protocol.
I probably got one in my bag somewhere. Sure.
If he's not here, could we save it for the end so that I don't have to,
I don't know that it's critical we have to do it this week.
okay?
All right,
We can
table this
table
then.
it, we can table it till the end of the meeting. If it doesn't happen at that point, it's not critical we have to do so.
All right.
Well, it'd be nice to know that so we can start thinking about it.
Sure. Well, we'll table till the end.
Yeah, that's
You
fine.
might get that.
Okay,
Just
table
wanna make sure we
number
do
5.
it right.
Okay, discussion with possible action regarding claims.
I just have a claim here that I want you guys to approve before I pay.
Is this for the sheriff's car?
Yeah, that I asked him not to buy.
What's he say about that?
He said I've already bought it.
So the reason we're not buying it would be
we don't have any money in the general fund. I shouldn't say it like that. We have money in the general fund. It's just tight, and I would prefer him wait a year or move it to the real basic fund to purchase. Or no, as far as usually there's bids and all that kind of stuff, and I never saw any of that either.
Well, in general, they've been the cheapest anyway. I would assume that you priced the other places. But this is also the vehicle they like.
Is this gonna push him over his?
He'll still be within budget.
Yeah.
Well, there's probably not much we can do about it. He's falling within his budget. If he doesn't wanna work with Winnebago County, then that's something we'll have to deal with. Correct? That should be noted, that I think that
We were talking about having a department head meeting, right?
We had one yesterday.
Did I not know about it?
We only sent it out to the actual department heads within the county. You guys told us that you didn't want to be,
Just for the copier.
yeah, for the claims and that kind of stuff. You told us just to do it without you.
We're gonna have to have a department head meeting to discuss future spending. Just
We
because
need
it's.
to
so
talk
that will be done when we do our budget.
budgets.
That's true.
So it's gonna be, it's gonna be an interesting 3 months.
Well, at this point, it's the betterment of the whole county, not just your budget, because just because it's in the budget, we don't need to spend it.
Right,
It's-
exactly.
We all gotta be on the same page, it's all Winnebago County, I don't care where it comes from. So what happens?
No, I think, obviously, we have to pay it. I'm pretty sure that on appeal, they'd make us pay it, so. Don't you, Carla?
It is in his budget. I just wanted.
I'm not happy about it, but
Is he replacing an old vehicle or something that got wrecked?
I have no idea. It's not something that got wrecked because
Because
they
they just fixed that one.
they just fixed the one that got hit by a deer.
I do remember he had one in his budget.
I think he actually has 3 in his budget.
Because lives can depend on the reliability of those vehicles, I guess, it's a tough one. Yeah, it's in his budget, how much we can do about it. I'll see what it is.
I was hoping he would be here today.
There's a buy that too. Is this car, is it here already?
I have no idea.
Or is it just ordered? Once
He has
it's approved, he's
not-
gonna order it, or?
Not talk to me about it at all.
I have no issues here.
well, if push comes to shove between the 3 of us and Dave, then Dave will win. It's in his budget. So,
All right. Do we need to okay this one separately then, or just okay?
We'll
it
just
with-
put it in claims for next week.
next week? Okay. Number 7, discussion with possible action regarding ACA tax on insurance premium.
So what I'm asking for here is, the federal, the federal government is adding 3.4% insurer fee to everyone's insurance premium. And I want to know how you guys want me to handle this. You have two choices. We can pay it through a partial self-fund that we have, or we can just add it back into everybody's, as part of their, their insurance premium. A lot of people are just taking out this partial self-fund because they don't like to mess with people's insurance premiums at January. I guess I don't care either way.
I think it's important. I'm not advocating for any act either way, but I think it's important for everybody to know all of these extra expenses that go on for this. So somehow we got to make them aware of all this. And maybe they already are, I don't know.
And this is passed down by the federal government.
This is passed down by the federal government. It's an ACA, the Affordable Care Act, the tax, and it's $38.03 per person.
Policy or whatever.
Policy, yeah. That's what it is.
We had similar something last year.
We did, and it went away last year, January 1st. And then this year, it's coming back at January 1st.
How was it handled before then?
What do you mean?
How was it paid for?
Well, last time it was just part of the premium because it started at the beginning of the plan year. This time it's starting in January, which is not the beginning of the plan year.
So will we have to do an amendment, just to take it up, even to take it out of?
We have money in our partial self-fund that would allow us to just take it out of partial self-fund, if that's the way you want to do it. Then when July comes, then it'll just be part of the premium again.
What are the downsides to that?
What?
Are there any drawbacks to just paying it from this partial self-fund?
What do you think
It hurts our premiums down the road.
No, not
Little bit,
out of the partial self-fund?
yes.
Yeah.
So you plan.
I mean, it's gonna be minuscule, but it does have a minuscule effect.
So you said $38 per year?
It's actually, it's, for this 6 months, it's $18,482.
So you're saying take it from that fund or disperse it among all the employees as an additional deduction?
Mm-hmm.
Which was done in the past.
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
The other part, if we take it out of the plan year, I probably have to call Mike Galloway to see if we can add that to the union's at this point.
I don't know why you wouldn't be able to, because they did it the year before, so they got a freebie so far. I don't know, that'd be my guess.
Yeah, but it coincided with the new year at the last time, right?
The new plan.
New plan year.
Yeah.
When is this gonna be paid?
It starts December for January, so it needs to be
If we're gonna
started.
deduct it, it's gotta go the next pay.
It's got to go the next pay period. I mean, either way, it's got to go the next pay period.
How are we doing in our partially self-funded?
The last Friday we were 101,000,
It's almost 20%.
which is the highest our partial self-fund's ever been. So it's healthy right now.
Well, it sounds like that's the easiest route to take.
It is at this point. And then next year it'll just
Next year it'll be
Going
Just going with it.
budgeting now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I guess I would be for the route that's gonna take the least time and effort.
Yes, I would too.
Going that way is a benefit to the employee, which isn't a huge deal to you. Because they have been paying it in the past. They won't be paying it this time.
Well, in the end, they pay it.
No, they won't do it.
And it's the employee's money that goes into the partial self-funding.
Yeah, as I said, part of the money in the self-fund comes from the employees anyway, doesn't it?
It comes from both, but
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to me.
I'll make a motion to, where are we at?
So,
Yeah, I'll make a motion to take the funds for the ACA tax that was implemented for our insurance premiums out of the partially self-funded.
I'll second that.
Motion from Derby, second from Stensrud, to take the ACA tax on insurance premium out of the partial self-fund for the next 6 months, right?
For the next 6
For the next 6 months?
Yep.
Yep.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. All right, consider for approval, letter of support, Winnebago Historical Society.
Jim said to apologize, he couldn't be here today, but he will be here on the 19th.
So this must be just for a future grant application.
It's for a grant application that they have, but he needs this one signed today.
Your area one? Oh, okay, great. That's that new deal.
Oh, really?
What they buy out. Or, yeah, they bought something out. I can't remember what it was. I guess I'll make a motion to approve the letter of support for the Winnebago Historical Society.
I'll second it.
From Derby,
Don't stamp it, it's just a signature.
That's what it is.
motion from Derby, second from Stensrud, to approve the letter for support from Winnebago Historical Society. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Number 9, Scott Minders, engineer, will discuss secondary road matters.
Morning. I have a brief report for you today. First, just a little bit of financial information. We got our month end of reports after November. I just want to let you know that our auditor's balance for the secondary road fund is about $1.1 million. We are about 42% of the way through our budget year and have about 37% of our budget used. So we're doing well. See what the winter brings. That's kind of when the unknowns are most prominent. So our bridge project south of the Leland grain elevator is substantially complete. The road is open and we're working on final quantities, some documentation and things before I'll have a little better report for you hopefully next week. But the contractor is gone and the road is open. That's the biggest thing. Of course, our guys that are between snow plowing, which has only been a handful of events this year so far, our stockpile in Buffalo Center is complete and they're working in Thompson. So that pace is strong in comparison to some of the years where we've had more snow events. And then, of course, we had our Sunnyside lease is now in place, and Bryce and I have worked on that contract, and that's been finalized. Because our rent is higher than it's been in the past, we're working on getting some tiling quotes to do a little bit of work out there. Our guys have been removing trees in one spot that got wet, and trees come up pretty quickly in the wet spots, so we we took the trees down and we're gonna put some tile in there and hopefully have it farmable for foreseeable future.
Was that wet spot included in the acres that you bid on?
Yep, it was.
So it just makes it.
Yeah, and that's my understanding. I couldn't verify this based on air photography that I have, but it's my understanding they farmed it before. But, you know, certain spots for any given farmer, you make the decision whether or not to invest your seed and fertilizer. And,
So proper drainage is important as fertilizer.
Yep. So as a landowner, we feel like that's a practical thing to work on with him, with the rent we're getting. So that's something.
Install the tile yourselves, or?
We're looking for a contractor to do it. Somebody with a plow, I
Plow or
assume.
whatever,
That's my list for today.
I have nothing. I'm trying to think of something I can complain about, and I just don't have it.
If you don't have it on a note with a name and phone number and issue, then
I got mine addressed last week.
perfect.
All right, then we'll move on to number 11. Is Chris here?
Oh, grab her.
Oh, and not that it'll get taken care of when first time they plow it. It was at 470th on top of the hill there again. It's been one there before, but it's some big holes. Mound on the north side of the road.
Animal hole in the
Some animal dug a hole.
But won't that hurt a little bit with the wing or something?
I don't honestly
I
know.
would guess it would probably shave that off pretty good. It's not packed. I knew there was something. I drive by it all the time.
You have to carry a shovel with you.
What's that?
Carry a shovel with you.
Well, you know,
Get out.
and I should carry it and then have one of the bigger kids get out and do it for me.
That's all right. There you go.
Or the owners?
Yeah, well, no, but the owner's one's been hard to handle with shovel. She's not big enough yet.
Morning, Chris.
Good morning.
Auditor's office will discuss drainage matters.
I went to the IDDA thing in Fort Dodge last Friday, and it was good again for the drainage clerk.
That was a week ago Friday, wasn't it?
Was it? It was on the 1st, yeah.
Before
So,
our supervisor.
yeah. So, and it was good. I liked the drainage clerk, the breakout sessions, that it's nice to get us all together and hash out stuff. So, but we did have a little handout, and all the money that was sent to IDDA for that Des Moines Waterworks deal has been refunded to the counties. So I thought that was it was a good idea to tell you that they had raised $311,000 and they refunded $277 back to counties. They took out some for the court briefs and some of their legal expenses of $25,000. So the next time something like that happens, we shouldn't be too afraid maybe to donate, because we could possibly get some back.
If you will.
Right. So there is a gentleman that won a seat that may bring something more back up. So they're going to watch that. Mandelbaum, is that his name? So they're going to keep an eye on him and see how he's.
Des Moines City Council, and this was the Des Moines Waterworks that was bringing suits.
He used to work for Des Moines Waterworks, so now he's on the council, is that what it is?
Something, yeah. So it's just something to watch. So, and then Gordy Anderson brought up DD 18. That's one of the ones, that very first project that we put in non-perf tile. He wants to know if they're gonna have anything else done with that, and I didn't know. So I don't know if we need to revisit that again.
Yeah, I think we do. I think we do. And this will, if Adam goes back down, then we can
So,
keep it till then, but, you know, I feel bad. I do. So, obviously, the way we're sitting fiscally now, it's not gonna be happen for in the near future, but I personally think there should be a fund to cover our butts if we do have a screw up, and it is our fault. We're obviously responsible to all the citizens, but that's a discussion for later.
Right, and with the time span, it's been too long to go back on anybody, so it would have to be the district's responsibility.
Well, we'll discuss it.
For this,
but
yeah.
Not necessarily. I don't think. I disagree with that. But
I think before we get too much discussion
Right.
on this, we should put it on the agenda.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay. Do you want to do that for next week, or do you want to just wait
It's
for a
not
while?
something that I would approve in probably the next couple of years. I mean, just due to the things that are going on.
Well, right, but do we need
It's
to
what I
get,
just said before. Well,
right?
if you want to talk about it, Mike, let's put it on the agenda.
I don't know.
If you want to. That's
Right,
fine.
I don't know.
Yep.
But it's not dire need to get on right away, is what you're saying.
No.
Okay. Well, then I'm good.
But he did not have a problem this year.
Oh, he's fine this year?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then that's good. I was just, I guess, because he came in, I just figured he must
And
have.
it's a question whether it's really the responsibility even of us trustees
Okay.
for what happened.
Right.
So I got from a very reputable contractor, one of our approved contractors, that would not have drained even with a perforated tile, because the level between his farm and the Winnebago River is like 1.5 foot, which surprised me. But
Okay.
that came from
Mm-hmm.
So the Winnebago River's gotta be down before it'll drain.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
no, the Winnebago River.
Okay, well, then I'm not gonna worry about it either. Yeah, good.
I was out to DD 27, what is it? DD 27 north of Thompson. They were digging the fixes on that wetland on the Branstead property.
Okay.
I think it's,
I don't remember.
yeah, anyway, NRCS was out there with their contractor. The first hole they dug up, what was full before, they couldn't even get down there when Jerry Regnus was digging, is now only this much silt and this much water.
Oh,
Yeah, so it drained down, so that was just north of Wonders Building. So then they went farther downstream and dug another one, same thing there. And then, I'm not sure, but I think, I should look at my text message. I think he said they found a spot where there was a cave in. They were gonna dig that up. So
Okay.
that might have been the problem.
Okay.
I think there was 2 places there was a cave in.
okay.
So this was, don't know, yeah, I'm guessing they'll just cover all that, but we'll see.
Yeah, okay.
Whether it was a district problem or their problem, it might have been a connection that didn't. There was a couple other spots up towards Dan Arnebeck. There were sloppy connections that had failed,
Okay,
and they fixed it.
good.
That was all stuff they had done work with before.
Okay.
So hopefully our problems are solved. If they were, I told them, I highly encouraged them, since we weren't finding anything, put an inspection pipe in. You know, they just have to make it tall enough to where it's not gonna overflow and fill the area there, but, so where we can watch and see.
Right.
Is it flowing here, is it flowing there? They have a problem with that. So.
Oh, good. And then there was a pre-con meeting with DD1. They're gonna start that on January 2nd. So they're gonna start at the river. They're gonna have the contractor and the engineer out there because they wanna get a good flow at the river to get a good start, so. That should go too.
Anything else for drainage?
What was the deadline on that one? Was that later in the year?
Yeah, it's like May or June. It's in the spring.
In the spring?
Mhm. Yeah, and he's just gonna continue working until they can't. So,
All right, anything else for drainage? Move on to number 12, consider for approval contract with Jacobs and Westergaard for engineering services on DD 21 ditch clean out project.
And you should have that in your folder.
I'll make the motion to approve Jacobs and Westergaard for engineering services on DD 21 ditch clean out project.
Second that.
Motion from Gentleman, and second from Stensrud to approve the Jacobs and Westergaard engineering services for DD 21 ditch clean out. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you.
So,
Consider for approval auditor's transfers.
oh,
I told him, well, you got one by now.
what did, okay,
He's not in charge.
okay.
That's part of the problem.
Do you know how much he asked for, or they didn't
No,
tell
he was
you?
gonna start putting it together,
Oh, okay.
but it was the same.
Motion to approve,
Oh, sorry.
approve the auditor's transfers.
I'll second the motion.
Stensrud, second Derby, approve the auditor's transfers. All in favor say aye.
Last year, they didn't have a request to me until sometime in the middle of January, and I asked them, like, called them 4 times. So, it's kind of frustrating.
Tom Thompson was the president last year.
Imagine they all get busy just like everybody else. Imagine they got this payroll.
Probably.
Tom's doing that, so.
Okay, number 14, open forum. Number 15, consider for approval payroll claims. You have no idea how the schedule
I
is.
don't, we can call Ally.
Yeah, we'll just have to table it until, you just said it was not pressing.
No, we don't have to make any decisions right now.
After the meeting, can you stay to go down and sign the loan papers?
Be a lot of travel.
Hmm?
They aren't gonna make us really tight, right?
No, I don't think so.
Sign the what?
Loan papers? After the public hearing.
Did you ever send that out to the commission?
I didn't, no, I'm sorry.
Did you hear who got the loan for the, it was Titanca Savings Bank, and they were 2.1, you said?
I can go get them.
The other ones were all in the,
I forgot. There was 3 something.
Supply and demand.
yeah,
Some are hungrier than others.
how much money you got sitting around?
A lot of new names here.
Oh,
MBT was 2.5, Farmer's Trust was 3.95, and TSB was 2.215.
very good. Put it in.
Greg did not put in a bid.
There's not a lot of brush moving. It's sunny side. So all week there.
Well, sand that we thought there'd been a lot of roots and stuff. Now, of course, with sand, it's a bit deeper. Looking for the ball.
Yeah, there'd be some healthy ruts.
Once it got into the clay or whatever. Is the Christmas pop up
This week,
this week?
yes.
So today,
Yes, starts at 11:30.
yeah, I was gonna break something.
Calling it this morning.
So that my wife made a pen was on it, and I said, take that.
I have something open for him, if you want to hear it.
Okay, we're back to open forum.
So I, after a department head meeting yesterday, I was working on budget stuff. And I think I found a way to save public health a little bit of money. I'm gonna take their FICA and IFRS and their health insurance and move it into the general supplemental fund, which is allowable by law. And so that will save them that money that they can use towards medical supplies and salaries and stuff that, other stuff that they need.
How much money is that?
Off the top of my head, I shouldn't even tell you. I
You don't
don't know.
get a bill.
Probably a couple $100,000. So that should solve at least a few problems at this point.
It makes up.
Takes the pressure off general basic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it takes the pressure off their fund too, because they were, with this MCO thing, they were struggling, and so this should alleviate some of that stress on them.
Probably hear something by next week, tomorrow, that meeting with the state.
Yeah, he was gonna go to that.
Well, the governor did finally come out of the closet on what she thought of it. She wouldn't give an answer at first.
Well, didn't she say she's still in support of the
She's gonna
MCOs?
keep the MCOs, yes.
I also asked Ruth to write a letter to the governor and Gassman and Booth, and I asked her to put something together so that we can send letters to those people stating why this isn't a good thing. And when I get those letters, I'll forward them to you so you can send them along as well. Because the more people that we have that will send, the more clout it gets, I guess.
All the counties are being challenged by this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they mentioned it. The legislature leaders there at our county, and it says it's a way of raising taxes without raising taxes. Because all the expenses are gonna get shoveled down to the counties. And,
And we have limits.
because all the people that are gonna fall through the cracks and still need care.
Go back to number 15.
Okay, number 15, consider for approval of payroll claims.
That was Bento, did you,
By second.
second,
Motion carried, second Stetser, to approve of payroll claims. All in favor, say aye. Aye. And unless Adam's coming back, we'll just table till next week. All right, we'll stand adjourned.
All right.